We're very fortunate to welcome Mr Anton Shingarev from Kaspersky to Interpol World Television this morning. Anton, Kaspersky, you understand the threat matrix that's out there at the moment. What are the biggest cyber threats that we're facing today?
Well, generally cyber threats are emerging. Every day we detect more than 300,000 new samples of malicious software, of malware, and the amount of this malware is growing. And the biggest problem is global cybercrime. One of the biggest problems is global cybercrime. Obviously, cyber doesn't know borders, and we see more and more cross-border cooperation between criminals. And actually, unfortunately, law enforcement are not as well sometimes in cooperating to catch the bad guys, while bad guys are really good in cooperating and when it comes to stealing money. And one of the most serious threats for companies, for businesses, this is rise of ransomware. So we see more and more attacks of ransomware on the enterprises, and in some cases it can be really fatal for the big enterprise. And it can be even more serious for a small business. If you are running a grocery shop, for example, and all your computer systems are paralyzed one morning, you come to the shop, you cannot work, you cannot sell your goods to the people living in the neighborhood, and it's really big problem. It may sound not as serious.
Now, with ransomware, I've heard people say pay to get out of it. Other people say don't pay to get out of it. I know Kaspersky's leading the way in providing the encryption keys to unlock people who've been attacked by ransomware. What is the advice that you'd give people?
Correct. We are partners on the project called No More Ransom. This is a global project which initially started as a cooperation between Dutch high-tech crime unit, Interpol, Europol, and Dutch police and few other organizations. Now it's really global. More than dozens of law enforcement are engaged there. We provide encryption keys for the victims. Now, of course, I will not ever say pay to criminals, because while you do that, you actually stimulate crime, you stimulate cybercrime. But in many cases, I can even understand the victims, because if you're desperate, if you don't know what to do, and all your data is encrypted, this is really painful. And I mean, I'm not talking about your photos. Okay, this is maybe really sad that you lost all your photo archive for the last few years. But imagine if you're a company, if you're a corporation, or if you're a hospital, and if your data is encrypted, you cannot heal your patients, and some people can really die, and we saw cases of that in the past. So ransomware is a pretty serious threat, and unfortunately it's becoming more and more mature and serious.
So do you think there's time for international protocols to set some laws in cyberspace? We've seen states being accused of different attacks. You've described how international criminal organizations have different attacks, but there is no real international cyber law. We rely on national laws to deal with it. Is that outdated? Do we need to change it?
For sure. We always were, and we still are, huge supporters of the global cooperation in the fight with cybercrime. And unfortunately, right now it's all in a gray zone. We as a private company, we would like to support law enforcement, we would like to support police, but sometimes we don't know how we can do that. We don't know how to notify victims. We don't know which information we can share. In one country it can be legal, in another country it can be illegal. We don't know how to report vulnerabilities. And unfortunately, the only beneficiaries of that are cyber criminals, because they don't care about rules, they don't care about laws, obviously. And I would say that it's a good moment to develop international cooperation on data sharing, international cooperation on the frameworks of cooperation for the investigations, and we would be definitely one of the first to support it.
We're also hearing around cyber, everyone talks about AI all of the time. How important is AI in dealing with future threats? And with AI at the moment, who's winning the AI game? The good guys or the bad guys?
Well, it's one of the buzzwords which are there today. I would rather say machine learning, deep machine learning. Well, everybody are there. I told you earlier that we detect 300,000 samples a day. Obviously, it's mostly generated by computers.
Yeah.
So in the cyber world, it's already for many years fight machine to machine. 99.6% of this malware is generated automatically through machine learning algorithms. We have it in our infrastructure, bad guys have it in the infrastructure. So it will always fight machine to machine. I would say so far we are winning, but the bad thing is that it's always easier to attack. So bad guys, they always have this advantage. But I would say good guys like cybersecurity companies are rather winning the battle.
But we're seeing a growth in the Internet of Things, and the attack surface is growing and becoming more sophisticated. Does that mean that we can never properly secure our networks?
Well, it's a rather philosophical question. Can you ever be secure? Can you ever be 100% secure? I would rather say no. But you can act like banks. I like what banks did in the fight with bank robberies. Is it possible to rob a bank now? Well, theoretically yes, but when have you heard last time in Singapore about a bank robbery? Because the cost of this attack is really high. It's extremely complicated to attack a bank. So this is the philosophy which we are trying to implement in the cyber world. It's impossible to 100% secure people, citizens, customers, but it's possible to raise the barriers. It's possible to protect on such a high level that the attack will just cost higher and will cause more damage than in the beginning. It's possible, it's a long way, but we are going there. And talking about IoT, you are very right. The attack surface grows intensively. We've got millions of devices, and from the vendor's point of view, unfortunately, it's impossible to protect all of these devices. We would be happy to protect CCTV cameras or routers, but we just cannot do that. It's technically impossible to install antivirus, to install cybersecurity solution there, just because the product itself is not designed for that. But at the same time, it can be attacked, and it's still attacked. It is attacked. So this is one of the alarming threats, and we are really working on it. Law enforcement are really worried about that, but this is one of the next few years threats.
Now, your boss, Eugene Kaspersky, who founded the company and set it up, is here today. But what do you think is worrying him most? What keeps him awake at night?
Well, IoT security is keeping him awake at night for sure. He's really worried about that. But generally, one of the biggest threats he sees is cyber terrorism, because all these IoT devices are vulnerable. Our computer systems are vulnerable. Power plants, power grids, they're theoretically vulnerable. We are happy to provide support to protect them. We are happy to protect them, and law enforcement wants to do that. But still, there is a threat. And there is a possibility that one day there's going to be a terrorist attack, but on cyber infrastructure, which is all around. It's not just Facebook, Twitter, or all these social networks. It's all around us. All our world is controlled and managed by computers. And one of the biggest threats which keep him awake at night is cyber terrorism. We are fighting with that, helping law enforcement, but this is really a worrying thing.
So who's winning in the end of the day, the good guys or the bad guys?
Well, I'm optimist. I always think that good guys will win, but on the way there we'll see many bad guys doing really nasty things.
Anton, thank you very much indeed for giving up your time and talking to us on Interpol World Television.
Thank you.